What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional. Here with another index review. The Chaos stuff dropped today. Uh, so right here we got we jumping in with the Chaos Knights. So their army rule is Harbingers of Dread. If your army faction is Chaos Knight, each model from your army with this ability gives a bonus depending on which Dread abilities are active for your army. See below. Once a Dread ability is active for your army, that ability applies till the end of the battle. So the first battle roll onwards, Despair ability is active. It's an aura. Well, enemy units within 12 of this model, each time that enemy unit takes a battle shock test, subtract 1 to the leadership. Or battle shock leadership, subtract 1 from the test. That's solid. Anytime you can affect battle shock, that's helpful. And then the other ability activates on turn 3. Doom and Darkness. Each time this model makes an attack, if the target model is battle shocked, excuse me, sorry. Add 1 to the rune roll. Each time an attack targets this model, if the attacking model's unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Then they have super heavy walkers. Each time a model with this ability makes a normal advance or fallback move, it can move over models, excluding Titanic models and terrain features that are 4 inches or less in height, as if they were not there. So this lets you move over enemies and lets you move over monsters and vehicles, so that's nice. The first part of the army roll, that's nice. The second part, that's cool. We'll see what they get in their detachment abilities. This is just kind of okay, just as a rule, so see how much other stuff pairs with it to see if it's really good as we get through this. And then you have Dread Blades. Every model in your army has the Chaos keyword. You can include either 1 Titanic Chaos Knight, or this just lets you take 1 Chaos Knight or 3 War Dogs in other Chaos Armies. So that's cool. Lets you still take Knights with other stuff. Then their detachment rule is for the Traitorous Lance is Forged in Terror. It's an aura. And the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if the enemy unit that is below its starting strength is within 12 inches of a Chaos Knight model from your army, that enemy unit must take a battle shock test. For the purpose of this ability, if a unit has a starting strength of 1, it is considered to be below its starting strength while it has lost 1 or more wounds. Alright, so yeah, so basically anybody that's lost, if they're single model units lost a wound, or any units that have lost a model, if they're within 12 of your knights, have to take battle shock tests. So now that you're making everything almost take battle shock, because if you're a knight and you're near something, you can hopefully kill at least 1 model or do a wound to it. Then all your other stuff starts adding up. So that's really cool. Let's see. So, and it's in your opponent's command phase. So at the same time, they would take normal battle shock tests. I'm still unsure on how the wording is. Would this trigger units below starting strength to take battle shock, and then units that are below half strength have to take an additional one for that, or would they just all take one? Clarify taking multiple battle shocks in a turn, or not in a turn, in a phase. But that can be nice. Anytime you're turning off objective control and taking strats away from people, that's fairly nice. Then we get to see their enhancements here. The first one is Lord of Dread, Chaos Knight only. At the start of the fight phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of the bear. That enemy unit must take a battle shock test. Alright, so this is another thing, forcing battle shock tests out of normal time. Then they have Aura of Terror, also Chaos Knight model only. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and the bear is within range of that objective marker, that objective marker is said to be tainted and remains under control even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. In addition, while an objective marker is tainted and under your control and the Despair Dread ability is active for your army, the objective marker has the Despair Dread ability as if it was a Chaos Knight model from your army. So subtract 1 from battle shock and leadership test taken for enemy units within 12 of it. Alright, so basically it gives you sticky objectives, and then it hands out neg 1 battle. The objective hands out neg 1 battle shock within 12 of it. So sticky's real nice, especially for knights, because you have low model count normally, and then the -1 battle shock is just a nice little bonus on top of it. So that's probably worth taking. The Trader's Mark, Chaos Knight model only. The Doom and Darkness ability is active for the bearer from the first battle round onwards instead of from the third. Alright, so you just basically have your full Doom and Darkness from the your detachment rule or your army rules to begin with. Alright, that's okay. Penelope of the Cursed Knights. Chaos Knight model only. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, subtract one from the armor penetration characteristic of that attack. That could be solid. You know, knights, if you're trying to kill them, you're normally shooting them with big stuff, so subtract an AP from the glass cannons and stuff is not bad. So Aura of Terror, I really like. The Penelope is okay. Trader's Mark is, I mean, you might see some people play that. Lord of Dread, depending on how many points these things are, you may or may not see that one, but Aura of Terror, if I was playing Chaos Knights, I think that would be pretty much an auto take. Then they're rolling us down into the stratagems. We got Dread Hounds. 2 or more War Dog units from your army and 1 enemy unit that is within range. Alright, so you pick 2 of your units and then 1 unit that they're basically going to be targeting. Till the end of the phase, the selected War Dog units can only target that enemy unit, but all the weapons equipped by those War Dogs gain sustained hits 1. And if that enemy unit is battle shocked until the end of the phase, each time a War Dog unit makes an attack against it, they get critical hits on 5s. Alright, so basically you pick 2 War Dogs, you pick an enemy unit, you get sustained hits against them, and if they're battle shocked, you get your extra hits on 5s. Alright, that's not bad. Then we got P Terror Shades. Terror? Is the P silent like pterodactyl? Terror Shades? Or is that some sort of typo? I don't know, that's kind of weird looking. Anyway, any phase just after the enemy unit fails a battle shock test, one Chaos Knight unit from your army that is within 12 of that unit. Roll 66. For each 4-up that enemy unit suffers, 1 mortal wound, and this model regains up to 1 lost wound. Alright, so they have lots of stuff that triggers off battle shock. So you definitely want to play into their abilities to cause people to fail battle shock. Then we have Disdain for the Weak. In the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, you pick 1 Chaos Knight unit from your army that is selected as the target of 1 or more attacks. Until the end of the phase, your model has the Feel No Pain 6+ ability and the Feel No Pain 5+ ability against attacks made by battle-shocked models. Alright. So you give them a 6 of Feel No Pain, and if the Feel No Pain is 5+ against battle-shocked models. Alright, I mean, 6 of Feel No Pain normally doesn't sound good, but Knights have so many wounds that you actually normally get something out of that, so... then we got models from your army. Until the start of your next command phase, those War Dog models count as being within range of any aura abilities that the abhorrent model has. All right, so basically your big knight buffs the little knights, and you can pop this on 3 of them, and then they can run away, and until your next turn, they count as being in range of him for that. All right, that's cool. We've got Diabolic Bulwark. Your opponent's choosing phase just after the enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Chaos Knight army unit from your army that was selected as a target. Basically, give a 4-up against ranged attack. Alright, so this is kind of like the old rotate ion shields and stuff that regular knights had. So you can give one of your knights a 4-up against ranged attacks. That's really nice. Knight of Shade. Your movement phase or charge phase. Up to 2 War Dog models from your army or 1 Titanic Chaos Knight, or so 2 little knights or 1 big knight. Till the end of the phase, the selected models can move horizontally through models and terrain features as if they were not there. Oh, so basically you can just like warp through stuff. That actually could be really nice. You need to get a charge or get to an objective or something, and you don't have to go all the way around the building and stuff. You pop this, just basically phase through it. Honestly, do this 2 turns or phase through one building, charge through another, and just pop this twice in a turn because it's 2 separate phases. Actually, that's really useful for knights. That's really cool. I like that Knights of Shade. So they got some decent stratagems. Then we got the War Dog Executioner. So this looks like it's probably going to be the standard War Dog profile. 12-inch move, T10, 3-up save, 12 wounds, leadership 7, objective control 8, which is nice. Demon Breath Meltagun is 12-inch range, standard Melta. After that, Heavy Stubber. 36-inch range, strength 5, 3 shots. He's got an autocannon that's -1, 3 damage, strength 9. That's nice, 4 shots. Armored feet are okay. Executioner. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a unit below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll. Alright, so he's real good at like finishing off units. And once he's down to 4 wounds, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So you got 2 of those autocannons, so you're getting 8 shots from that. That's not horrible. Are these the same ones that used to be like 2d3 last edition? So basically they're giving you the average number of shots, so no spiking up or down, you just know how many shots you have. Actually kind of like that. So Executioner looks solid. Then we got the Stalker. He's got the standard profile. He's got the chain cannon, 12 attacks, strength 6, neg 1 damage. Demon Breath Spear is 24-inch melt to 4. That's nice. 2 shots, strength 12, neg 4 d6. He's got the Havoc multi-launcher. Only strength 5 1 or strength 5 damage 1, d6 shots. That's more a little troop shooting unit. And then you got the heavy stubber again. So his chain spear, or not chain spear, his Demon Breath Spear is really nice. So you got the chain cannon, the multi-launcher, you kill some chaff off, and then you got the Demon Breath Spear, 2 shots to really put the hurt on something big. Alright, and then he's got the chain talon for combat, strike and sweep. 4 attacks to 8 attacks, strength 10 to strength 8, neg 3 to neg 2, 3 damage to 1 damage. And then you can give him the Slaughter Claw, which is 4 attacks, strength 12, neg 3, d6 plus 2. Nice, and all his combat hits on 3s. Solid profile. He comes with the chain cannon. You can upgrade it to the spear. So, yeah, you make him going after troops, or you're making him going after big stuff. War Dog Carnivore. He's got a 14, so he's got 2 extra movement, but the rest of his profile is exactly like the rest. He's got the heavy stubber, the multi-launcher, and then he's got the chain talon, which is 6 attacks and 12. I think the strength of stats are same as up above, but he just gets lots of attacks from it. There's a Slaughter Claw, which is 6 attacks. So he just gets more attacks, but not as much shooting. You can reroll charge rolls made for this model. Alright, I mean, just your little combat knight. He has, looks like they have the same combat weapons, just he gets a couple more attacks. 2, 4, and 2. So, that's all. We'll see what the points are on them, but if they're cheap enough, you just run a bunch of these little guys. I'm interested to see if, because at the end of last edition, little knights spam with maybe 1 big knight, possibly 2, but mostly little knights was the preferred way of most Chaos Knight players. I want to see if that's still the case, or if both versions, hopefully both versions are equally viable, like mostly big, a couple little, and mostly little, couple big, or just all big, all little. Hopefully there's enough balance in here that you can really run it however you enjoy running it and still be competitive. Not have to run it a certain way just to be competitive. Run it how you want and just be competitive as long as you play well. Then we got the Brigand. He's got the standard profile, chain cannon, demon spear, so all the same weapons. Each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible unit, improve the armor penetration character of attack by 1. So he shoots the closest unit, plus 1 AP. I'm not a big fan of the stuff that forces you to target the closest unit, but the demon spear, and actually his only option is dropping the stubber for the multi-launcher. Alright, so he's just your straight up shooting one. All he's got is your armored feet. And then we got the Huntsman. He's got the Demon Breath Meltagun and the Demon Breath Spear. So, same profiles as before, but now you got basically 3 Melta shots. One's definitely better. Then he's got the Chain Talon. Each time this model makes an attack against a monster vehicle, reroll a wound roll of 1 and reroll a damage roll of 1. Alright, so that's real nice. You just running out those Meltas, you get that shot through and you roll those 1s. It's always bad. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, but I'm just going to reroll that 1 into a 1. I know, it happens, but what can you do? At least you have the option. And then it comes with a Demon Breath Spear, the Stubber, and the Chain Talon. And the Stubber converts in the Chain Talon. That's probably the preferred way to run him. Alright, now we're getting into some of the big boys. We got the Knight Despoiler, 10-inch move, toughness 12, 22 wounds, 3 up save, leadership 6, objective control 10, Demon Breath Melt, Demon Breath Thermal Cannon, blast melt to 6. Oh, that's gross. 24-inch range, 2d3 shots, 3 up to hit, strength 12, neg 4, d6 damage. So if you get within 12 inches, this is d6 plus 6 damage. Then he's got the Despoiler Battle Cannon, blast, rapid fire d6 plus 3. So 72 inches. So once you get within 36 inches, it's 2d6 plus 6. Hits on 3, strength 10, neg 1, 3 damage. That's a solid weapon. The Despoiler Gatling Cannon, 36-inch range, 18 shots, 3 up, strength 6, neg 2, 2 damage. Havoc Missile Pod, indirect, 48 inches, d6 plus 1, 3 up hit, strength 5 AP 0. Dark Flamer, look like it's just a heavy flamer. They added dark to the word. Then the Stubber, then the Rune Spear Rocket Pod, 48 inches, 3 shots, strength 8, neg 2, d6 damage. Hellstorm Autocannons, anti-fly 2 plus and twin link. That's nice. So 48 inches, 3 shots, strength 7, neg 1, 2 damage. And anti-fly is nice, especially since it's not anti-aircraft, so you will see a lot of fly in most armies. So let's go. Very solid weapon profiles. Then he's got the Reaper Chainsword. Strike and sweep, 4 goes to 12 on the attacks, 14 goes to 9 on strength, neg 4 to neg 3 AP, 6 to 2 damage. Alright, that's solid damage, solid amount of attacks. Titanic Feet. Then he can take the Warp Strike Claw, which also has a strike and sweep, 4 attacks to 8, strength 20 to strength 10, neg 3 to neg 2, strength 8, or say 8 damage to 3 damage. Alright, so he's got some really good combat weapons. Then he has a Dread Dominion. Well, a friendly War Dog is within 9 inches of the model. Each time that War Dog takes a Battle Shock test, add 1 to that test. Alright, that's okay. Each time a model is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll when resolving those attacks. So it's one or the other, not both, but that's alright. And then he tiers at 7. He comes with the Melt-A-Gun, the Chainsword, and the Warp Claw. And the Chainsword can replace for the Gatling Cannon, the Thermal Cannon, or the Battle Cannon, and they come with a little attached gun on some of those. And the Warp Strike can replace for, so you can run him double weapon, 1 weapon, 1 gun, 2 guns, and then you can put the top guns on top. So lots of versatility in how you can kit these guys out. Then the Knight Desecrator. He has the Desecrator Laser Destructor, 72-inch range, 3 shots, strength 18, neg 4, d6 plus 3 damage. That's solid. And then just a heavy stubber. Then he has the Chainsword No Strike Claw, so same weapons. He has Obsessive Ruthlessness. Each time this model makes a ranged attack against a monster or vehicle unit that Laser Destructor and his heavy stubber too. If you roll a 6 to wound, becomes mortals. So that's big on that laser structure. D6 plus 3 mortals going into something. That's not nothing to laugh at. Then Taskmaster. While a friendly War Dog model is within 9 of this model, each time a War Dog model makes a ranged attack, reroll hit roll of 1. Alright, so he hands out reroll 1s to the little guys. Very nice. He comes with the Laser Destructor and the Chainsword. You can drop the Chainsword for the Claw. Then we got the Knight Rampager. Just the heavy stubber, and then he has the Chainsword and the Warp Strike Claw. So Bloodlust. Each time this model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, its melee weapons have sustained hits 1 ability. In addition, once per battle, when this model is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it's advanced. Alright, so once per battle, you can just decide, hey, I'm advancing and charging. No strat, don't have to wait for a specific turn. That's really nice. And then anytime he charges, just extra hits. So you got 6 and 18, so you average 1 extra hit here, average 3 extra hits here, 1 extra hit here, 2 extra hits here. So even if you ran in and swung the, and everything hits, also even if you ran in and swung the 2 big attacks into something, you should roll a 1 and a 6, so balance out, so you should get 12 hits. And here, if you're trying to kill little stuff, you're going to get same thing. Your ones and sixes should be. I mean, obviously dice spike one way or there, but on average they'll balance out. So you'll get 30 hits into little stuff. Yeah, this guy is a combat monster. Like, there's not much in the game big or, and he's one of the few things like because knights don't have a lot of models, they have to do this. But most armies they tried to eliminate the ability for something to be good at killing big stuff and little stuff. This guy fills that role. Like, you should take him in every list because no matter what you're fighting, he can wreck it. Uh, yeah, and he has no options. He just comes with the stubber and the two combat weapons. Then we got the Knight Abominant. Ooh. So yeah, 20. Oh, and I sorry, I was skipping their movements. So he goes 12. All right. So the combat one moves faster. All the rest of them look like they move 10. The Abominant, same profile there. Stubber Volkite Combuster has devastating wounds. It's 30-inch range, 9 attacks, 3 hits, strength 12, AP 0 though, 3 damage. So AP 0, I mean, yeah, it's gonna wound good and does good damage, but everybody's getting their full armor save unless you roll that 6. So you should get at least 1, possibly 2 every time you shoot this. Well, hitting on 3 is 9 attacks. You hit 6 times. Yeah, so you should get 1 mortal through one every time you shoot it, pretty much. But other than that, they're getting saves against it, so I'm surprised he has no P at all. That's a little. Then he has Bale Mace, and this has extra attack, so he'll get to swing both these weapons. Oh, that is alright. So the other knight, you can't. Neither of his, the combat knight, neither of his has extra attacks. You really. That's interesting. Unless there's another rule they put up for knights that they can always swing all their weapons. He only gets to swing one of these each turn. That's interesting. I hope they put something in there saying like super heavy, so they can always swing all their attacks or something. But anyway, the Bale Mace has extra attacks, so he can swing both these. No, I guess not, because they gave this extra attacks to make sure he could swing both, and they didn't. All they had to do is give one of those extra attacks just on that model. All right, yeah. So it looks like he is stuck to swinging one on the other guy, but this guy gets to swing both. 3 attacks, strength 8, neg 1, 2 damage, and then 9 attacks, strength 10, neg 2, 3 damage. And this one has sustained hits, so he hits solid. Vortex Terrors. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this model. That unit must take a battle shock test. Alright, so yep, once again, causing extra battle shock test. Causing extra battle shock test is never a bad thing. And then at the end of your movement phase, roll 1d6 for each unit within 9 inches of this model. On a 3+, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Alright, so yeah, you just move, and then for each enemy unit within 9, you can possibly do mortals. 2/3 of the time. Alright. So he seems solid. Not quite as good as he was last edition. Last edition he was like, I think, really good, just because he had so many different psychic powers to choose from, but he seems solid. Knight Tyrant. Alright, so this guy's got the Brimstone Volcano Lance, which is Blast, D3 shots, 3 hit, strength 20, neg 5, D6 plus 8 damage. Ouch. So you better hope you got invul saves. Then the Dark Flame Cannon, 18-inch range, 3d6, auto hit, strength 8, neg 1, 2 damage, ignores covers torrent. Alright, 3d6 shots, this is the guy you want to do your Overwatch with, right there. 3d6 torrent shots, yes. Then he gets the Ectoplasma Decimator, 36 inches, d6 plus 3, hits on 3, strength 8 goes to 9, neg 2 goes to next 3, 2 goes to 3 damage. He's got the Geas Strike Missile Launcher, Anti-Titanic 4+, devastating wounds, 72-inch range, 1 attack, 3 hit, strength 12, neg 6, d6 plus 1 damage. So that's good if you're fighting other knights. Then he's got the Meltagun and the Twin Desiccator Cannon. So the Twin Desiccator Cannon is Blast, Twin Linked, 36-inch range, d6 shots, 3 hit, strength 6, 1 damage. And then the Warp Shock Harpoon, Anti-Monster and Anti-Vehicle 4+, devastating wounds, 18-inch range, 1 shot, 2 up to hit, strength 24, neg 6, 12 damage. I mean, if you're fighting infantry, well, if you get the 6 for the mortals, would be great, but against infantry, most of the time you're just killing one really good. But if you're shooting a vehicle or a monster, they better not fail that invul, because that's going to kill a lot of them in one shot. Alright, then he has Infernal Aegis. While a friendly War Dog model is within 6 of this model, that War Dog model has the benefit of cover. And then enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 of this model. Alright, so that's nice. So he gives a 12-inch Deep Strike Deny, and he gives cover to Little Knights. Alright, so we'll see what his points are, but with these weapon loadouts you can choose from, definitely might see some play. Yeah, he comes with the Lance and the Decimator, and 2 of the missile launchers, 2 Meltaguns, and the Twin Desecrator Titanic. So the Lance and the Decimator can be used, can replace with 1 Dark Flame Cannon and 1 Warp Shock Harpoon. So basically you have to drop the Volcano Lance and the Decimator, and you get the Dark Flame and the Harpoon. And then the 2 missile launchers can replace with 1 missile launcher and 2 cannons. Alright, so basically you run 2 missiles or 1 missile and 2 cannons. It's probably the better way for more shots, unless you're really tanking in for him to kill other Titanic stuff. And then, yeah, that's depending on what you're having him do in your list. You just let you choose those options. He seems fine. He seems, I mean, obviously they were super expensive last edition. Oh, and that's the end of their data sheet. I mean, we don't know points yet, but most of their models seem to have lots of good weapons and options. So if they're pointed decently, I think Chaos Knights will do very well personally. Good strats, army rules, cool. I mean, decent. I mean, if you play into all the battle shock and stuff, it's not horrible. You can make it work, especially end of the game. People start failing some battle shocks when it's a tight game. You're trying to get those objectives, and you got high OC. No, I like Chaos Knights. If you're a Chaos Knight player, I would not be upset with this at all. But that's it for Chaos Knights. So next up, we're going to look at Chaos Demons. So let me just get this going again. Alright, so welcome back. Now we're going to be going into the Chaos Demons, their index. So we got the Chaos Demons army roll, which is the Shadow of Chaos. If your army faction is Legions Demonica, certain areas of the battlefield are considered to be within your army's Shadow of Chaos as follows. Your deployment zone is always within your army's Shadow of Chaos. At the start of any phase, if you control at least half the objective markers within no man's land, until the end of that phase, that no man's land is within your Shadows of the Chaos. So it's not more than half, it's at least half, which is in that one mission where you have like 3 in the middle and you start removing objectives and you end up with 2. That means you only have to control 1 for all of no man's land to be within your Shadow of Chaos. So that's really nice, especially in that mission. And then at the start of any phase, you control at least half the objective markers within your opponent's deployment zone. Until the end of the phase, your opponent's deployment zone is within your army's Shadow of Chaos. Most of the time, there's only 1 in the deployment zone, so you'll have to take the 1 in your opponent's deployment zone to pop this. But if you pull that off, it's there. And we'll see what this does. While a Legion Demonic unit from your army is within your army's Shadow of Chaos, each time that unit takes the Battle Shock test, add 1 to that test, and if that unit test is passed, 1 model in that unit regains up to D3 lost wounds. If that unit is battle line unit, that test is passed, up to D3 destroyed models can be returned to that unit instead. Alright, so possibly healing big stuff or bringing back little stuff. That's nice. Then while an enemy unit is, then we have the Demonic Pact. If every model from your army has, this is what lets you ally in. So Strike Force, which competitive, most replaying, you can put 500 points of Chaos Demons into other armies, and then you have restrictions. World Leaders can only take Khorne, Thousand Suns Siege, Death Guard Nurgle, and Lucius the Eternal Slanesh. It's interesting here that they don't. Oh, I guess that's because Emperor's Children don't have their own book. As looks like they're going to just be in the regular Chaos book. So if you take Lucius the Eternal, that triggers this. Alright, because there's no actual... Alright, that makes sense. Alright, I understand that now. Then their detachment rule is Warp Wrists. Each time a Legion's Demonica unit from your army is set up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, if it's set up wholly within your army's Shadow of Chaos, it can be set up anywhere that is more than 6 inches horizontally away from all enemy models instead of more than 9. Alright, so if your Shadow of Chaos is up, you can just drop stuff closer. I don't see anything where it says how many points. I'm not seeing anything giving Chaos the ability to put more into reserves than anybody else, which a lot of times they've been able to do. So they might still be restricted by having 50% on the table. And then we got their strats. We got Corrupt Real Space, which is at the start of any command phase. One Legion demonic unit from your army that is within range of an objective marker you control. The objective marker is said to be corrupted. It remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls at the start of or end of any turn. In addition, while objective marker is corrupted or under your control, the area battlefield within 6 inches of that objective marker is Shadow of Chaos. Alright, so basically it gives... you can basically sticky an objective with one of your units in your command phase, and then it gives off 6-inch aura of Shadow of Chaos, which is really nice. So you do this in the command phase, move one of your units away from it, and then use Deep Strike another unit really close to it. Possibly right on it, depending on where your enemies or other units are. Alright, that's solid. Then we got Warp Surge, your charge phase. One Legion Demonic unit from your army that's within your Shadows of Chaos. At the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge even at advance this turn. So advanced charge is nice, but it has to be within your Shadow of Chaos, so you're really going to want to push this to the middle of the to no man's land. You really want to really make this effective, because advanced charge in your deployment zone isn't really as good, because once you advance out of your deployment zone, you're not there, because you can only pop this in the charge phase. Alright, so depending on how, we'll see how easily it is to get that shadow out everywhere, because if you have it up, this is nice. Otherwise, we may be thinking, man, I wish I could have got my shadow up. Alright, then we got Draught of Terror, your shooting phase or fight phase. One Legion Demonic unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration character or weapons equipped by models in that unit by 1. In addition, until the end of the phase, each time such a weapon targets a unit that is battle shocked, you can reroll the wound. Alright, so basically you give one of your demon units plus 1 AP, and if they're attacking a battle shocked unit, you get to reroll the wounds. Alright, nothing too bad there. That's solid. Warp Surge. We did that. Denizens of the Warp. One Legion unit from your army that is arriving using the Deep Strike ability this turn. You can set up anywhere on the battlefield more than 3 inches away, and then it can't charge. Alright, so basically, yeah, let's do Deep Strike within 3 and not be able to charge. I'm sure that'll be useful for like flamers or stuff like that has shooting attacks. Then we got the Realm of Chaos. End of your opponent's turn. Up to 2 Legion Demonic units from your army that are within your army's Shadow of Chaos, or one other so if you can take 2 units in your Shadow of Chaos or 1 unit that's not. Remove the target units from the battlefield, place them in the strategic reserve. They'll arrive back on the battlefield in the reinforcement stack of your next movement phase using the Deep Strike ability. You cannot target units that are within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units with this stratagem. Alright, so basically just pick up some units at the end of your opponent's turn and bring them back in your reinforcements. Cool. Just traveling through the warp or something, I guess. And then we have Demonic Invulnerability phase. One unit from your army that was selected phase. Each time it's made from models unit, reroll a saving throw of 1. So reroll 1s on saving throws. That's okay, depending on your save. If you got like a 5 or something, this isn't that big a bonus. But if you got like a 3 or 4, I mean, that, really, that might be more useful. And then we got their enhancements. We got Argath, the King of Blades. This is for Khorne demons only. Add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristics of bearers' melee weapons. While they're under Shadow of Chaos, add 2 to each. Alright, then the Everstave, Tzeentch. Add one of the strength characteristics of the bearer's ranged weapons and increase the range characteristics of such weapons by 3. While he's within Shadow Warp, add 2 to the strength and increase the range by 6. Alright, so plus 1 strength, plus 3 inches to your shots, plus 2 and 6 in Shadow of the Warp. Then we got Endless Gift for Nurgle. The bearers 5-up Feel No Pain. If they're within your army Shadow of Chaos, you get a 4-up. Alright, that's solid. Slanesh Demons. Soul Stealer. Each time a bear destroys an enemy model with a melee attack, roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if the bear is within your Shadow of Chaos. On a 4+, the bear gains 1 lost wound. That's alright. So, all of these trigger extra stuff if you're in Shadow of Chaos. So the basic rules are alright. If you get the Shadow Chaos off, they're actually really solid. And they're all stuck to specific Demon Legions. Alright, then they're rolling us down into Battle Shock, or not Battle Shock, Datasheets. So we get a Scarbrand right off the bat. Movement 8, T11, 4-up save, 20 wounds, leadership 6, objective control 5. He has the Bellow of Endless Fury, ignores cover torrent, 12-inch range, 2d6 shots, strength 5, AP01 damage. Then his combat is Slaughter and Carnage, strike and sweep, 8 attacks to 16, hits on 2, 16 strength to 8, neg 4 to neg 1, 6 damage to 2. Solid profiles. Rage Embodied. While a friendly Khorne demon unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is within 6 of this model, add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models in that unit. Alright, so we've got like Juggernauts, or what are they? Blood Crushers or Bloodletters and stuff near him. Bloodhound or Cornhounds, Fleshhounds. What are they called? You'll get bonus attacks on them. Then he's got Murderlust. While a unit is within 6 of this model, each time that unit is selected to fall back, it must take a leadership test. If the test is failed, that unit must remain stationary this phase instead. Alright, so possibly forcing stuff to stay in combat with him, so you can hit him more. That's really nice. So as you charge in, you swing first. Their turn, you get to swing first too. If they can't run away, there's not much. I mean, if something survives 1 round of combat with him, that's impressive, but there's not much that's surviving 2. And then he's an epic hero, so there's no options on him. Then we got a regular Bloodthirster, move 12, T11, 4-up save, 18 wounds, leadership 6, objective control 5. Oh, so we got Scarbrand's invul, 4-up. Alright, Scarbrand's got a 4-up. So he's got the Axe of Khorne. Well, let's go do his shooting first. He's got the Blood Flail, which is devastating wounds. 1 shot, 2 up to hit, strength 16 and 3d6 plus 1 damage. Hellfire Breath, ignores cover torrent. 12 inches, d6 shots, auto hit, strength 5, neg 1, 1 damage. Lash of Khorne is 6 attacks, 2 up to hit, strength 8, AP0, 2 damage. No AP though, but 2 damage is nice. Then the Axe of Khorne is strike and sweep. 8 attacks to 16, both hit on 2s, 14 to 8 for strength, neg 4 to neg 2 AP, d6 to 1 damage. Alright, I don't like when these strikes have a d6 without a plus something to it, but... Alright, then they got the Great Axe of Khorne, strike and sweep, 7 attacks to 14, both hit on 2s, strength 16 to strength 10, neg 4 to neg 2 AP, d6 plus 2 to 2. See, once again, it's like, because the Great Axe of Khorne, even if you roll a 1, it's doing more damage than the sweep. The Axe of Khorne, if you roll a 1, it's doing the same amount of damage as your sweep. So that's just not a fan of that. And it has Demon Lord of Khorne. While a friendly Khorne demon unit is within 6 of this model, each time a model of that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Alright, so plus 1 to hit to Khorne units, Khorne demon units. At the end of the fight phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of this model. Roll 8d6 on each 4+ that enemy unit suffers mortal wound. So at the end of the fight phase, you can just auto try to do 4, well, try to do 8, but normally do average 4 mortal wounds to a unit for free, just as a free ability. That's nice. And then the Great Axe of Khorne can replace with 1 Axe of Khorne and one of the following. Alright, so you just got the Hellfire Breath and the Great Axe. You can drop the Great Axe to take the Axe of Khorne and one of the other shooting attacks. Then it's T4, 4-up save, 5 wounds, leadership 7, objective control 1. He's got the Slayer Sword, which is devastating wounds and precision, so he's always been a character hunter. So 6 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 6, negative 3 damage. Lord of Decapitations. While this model is leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Devastating Wounds ability. Alright, that's nice. Skull for Corn. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a character unit, you can reroll the hit roll, you can reroll the wound roll. Each time this model destroys an enemy character, you gain 1 CP. Alright, so yeah, you really want to get him into enemy characters. And then he can join just Bloodletters. But you stick him with a squad of a Bloodletter. We'll see if they're 10-man units, 10 to 20, if they can take 5. Like, over the years, they've had so many options. We'll see what they did in this index. I actually haven't looked at it yet, so I'm actually not sure. Bloodmaster, movement 6, T4, 5 up save, 4 wounds, leadership 7, objective control 1. Then he's got a Bloodblade, which is 5 attacks, 2 up to hit, strength 6, negative 3 damage. He's a Bloodmaster, so while this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Each time this model unit consolidates, it can move up to 6 inches instead of up to 3 inches. Alright, so extra consolidate, and +1 to wound to the unit he's leading. Only Bloodletters. If they'd have given the caveat that he could join with Skulltaker, that would have really made those Bloodletters pop. But even so, depending if he's cheap enough, yeah, just throw him in unit of Bloodletters. Then we got Skull Master. 10-inch move, T7, 4 save, 6 wounds, leadership 7, obsessive control 2. He's got the Bloodblade, 5 attacks, 2 up to hit, strength 6, negative 3 damage, and then Juggernaut's Bladed Horns, extra attacks in Lance, 4 attacks, 4 up to hit, strength 6, negative 1 damage. Skullmaster's Fury, while this model's leading unit, each time that unit ends a charge move, until the end of the turn, Juggernaut's Bladed Horns equipped by models in that unit have the Devastating Wounds ability. Alright, so 4 attacks per thing with Devastating Wounds, and I'm assuming he joins the Blood Crushers. Each time this model's unit ends a charge move, each enemy unit with engagement range must take... Alright, so they charge, everybody they hit takes a battle shock, and then they gain Devastating Wounds on their Juggernauts. And he can join Blood Crushers. Alright, that's solid. I like that. Rendmaster. Movement 8, T9, 4 up to hit, 9 wounds, leadership 7, objective control 3, and he's on a Blood Throne. Attendants Hellblades are extra attacks, so they'll be going in addition. Was the Juggernaut's extra attack? Yeah, Juggernaut's extra attacks too. But anyway, so he gets 4 attacks, 3 up to hit, strength 5, negative damage, and the Bloodblade is, I think, the same as the one we saw in the other character. 5 attacks, strength 6, negative 3 damage. Blood Throne, at the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit with an 18 of, invisible to this model, until the end of the phase. Each time a friendly Khorne Demon unit makes an attack that targets that unit, improve the strength, armor penetration, and damage characteristic of that attack by 1. Wow. So at the start of the fight phase, he just selects one enemy unit, and demon units get +1 strength, armor penetration, and damage. That would stack real well if you pop that on the unit the Juggernauts charge into, and all of a sudden they're getting +1 damage with all those devastating wounds. That's really nice. Champion Slayer. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a character or monster unit, you can reroll a wound roll. Each time this model destroys an enemy character or monster, this model regains up to D6 lost wounds. Alright, so far every character in here, I mean, we don't know points, but rules-wise looks very solid. Then we got Karnak. He's a 12-inch move, T4, 7 up save, 5 wounds. Leaves the first battle round, select one enemy unit to be this model's prey. Weapons equipped by models in this model's unit have the lethal hits ability when targeting this model's prey. Each time this model's prey is destroyed, select one new enemy unit to be this model's prey. Alright, so basically you pick an enemy unit, and him and his unit get lethal hits against it, and if they destroy it, he picks a new one. Alright, that's fine. And then he has a 3-up Film Painting against Psychic, and he can join the Fleshhounds. So they are called Fleshhounds. I had trouble remembering what they were actually called earlier. Here's the Bloodletters. Movement 6, T4, 1 wound, 7 up save, leadership 7, objective control 2. They have the Hellblade, which is 2 attacks, stripped hit, strength 5, negative 2 damage. Not a lot of attacks, but solid profile. Blood begets blood. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If that attack targets a unit that's below half strength, you reroll the wound instead. Alright, so reroll ones. Units below half strength, reroll all wounds. They can get a 6-up leadership from the icon and add 1 to charge rolls for the instrument. And they are just 10-man units, so no bigger, no smaller, just 10-man units. I mean, they're fine, but I wish they had the option of taking the big old 20-man. So those were always so cool, I thought, to see just big hordes of bloodletters. Then here's the Blood Crushers. 10-inch move, T7, 4-up save, 4 wounds, leave 7 OC2, which is nice. They have the Hellblade, the same as the other guys, and they have the Juggernaut's Blade, same as there. So those are the same. Brass Stampede. Each time this unit ends a charge move, select one enemy unit with an engagement range of this unit, and roll 1d6 for each model in this unit. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Alright, so now you add that other character in here. They charge in. They're doing mortals on the hit. They're charging battle shocks on the hit. Now they're doing more potential to do devastating wound mortals with their juggernauts horns, and they got decent AP and damage on their regular attacks. I really like these guys. And then the instrument icon looks like they do the exact same thing. They got a 4-up invul. And this is 1, so you can run 3 to 6 models. Then here's the Fleshhounds. Movement 12, T4, 7-up save, 2 wounds, leaves for 7, objective control 1. They have a ranged attack called the Boiling Roar, which ignores cover torrent. 12-inch range, D6 shots, strength 4, AP01 damage. Then they have Gore Drenched Fangs, which are 3 attacks, strength 5, -1 damage. Pouncing Hunters, you can target this unit with a heroic intervention strat for 0 CP, and you can do so even if you have already used this strat on a different unit this phase. That's nice. So you don't have to waste it on them because they don't have a lot of AP or damage. But if you need them to pile in and tie something up, you just do it after you heroic with the thing you really want to. And you can do it for 0 CP. That's nice. And then they get a 3-up Field of Pain against psychic attacks. They can take between 5 and 10. Alright. Then we get the Skull Cannon. Moving 8, T9, 4-up save, 9 wounds, leave 7, objective 3. It's got the Skull Cannon Blast, which is 48 range, D6 plus 2 shots, 3-up to hit, strength 9, -1, 2 damage. That's decent. You don't really get much shooting in Khorne, so that gives you a little long-range shooting in a Khorne list. Attendant's Hellblades are extra attacks. 4 attacks, strength 5, -2 damage, and the Biting Maul is 2 attacks, strength 6, AP02 damage. Then his ability is Skulls of the Fallen. In your shooting phase, after this battle is shot, select one unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. That unit must take a Battle Shock test. Alright, so you can just shoot stuff and cause Battle Shock tests. And you just have to hit them, you don't actually have to hurt them. And this is just 1 model units. If they're cheap enough, yeah, you throw a couple of these in your Khorne list, just have some downfield shots and just cause battle shocks for no reason. Then we have the Skull Altar. So no movement, T12, 3-up save, 10 wounds, leave 7, OC0. It has Infiltrator. It's fortification keyword. So as an aura, the area of the battlefield within 6 inches of this fortification is considered to be within your army's shadow of chaos. In addition, while a friendly Khorne demon unit is within 6 inches of this fortification, each time you take a battle check for that unit, you can reroll the test. Alright, so you can infiltrate this and just push your shadow chaos up to the middle more, and that's really nice because he's not super easy to kill, and so that strat that only triggered in your opponent's not in your opponent, that only triggered in your Shadow of Warp for advance and charge for Khorne units, now all of a sudden you getting to do that from midfield. So that's really nice without having to take objectives and stuff in the middle. So it's likely. So it's -1. So it's -1. Models in the unit do not need to take Desperate Escape tests due to models. Basically, this is just saying it's a building. It's just sitting there. You know, you're not like locked in combat with it really, and you're not. It's not going to attack you when you run away. No options for this thing. Alright, so that's it for Khorne. Now we're rolling into Tzeentch here. We get Kairos Fate Weaver, movement 12, 10 wounds, leadership, 6 up save, 20 wounds, leadership 6, OC 5. Then you got a Psychic Shooting Attack, Infernal Gateway. It's a Blast Indirect Psychic, 24-inch range, D6 plus 3 shots, hits on 2, strength negative 2, D3 damage. You can turn it into hazardous, and it becomes D3 plus 6 instead of D6 plus 3. So still potentially the same number of shots high end, but more reliable, and then it gains an AP. Then his melee weapon is the Staff of Tomorrow, which is Psychic, 5 attacks, 3 up to hit, strength 8, negative 2, 2d3 damage. Alright, so that's not horrible. One head looks forward is an aura. Each time you target a friendly Tzeentch Legion, basically as Tzeentch Demon unit within 6 of this model with a stratagem, roll 1d6. If the result is greater than the current battle round number, you gain 1 CP. What's this model with a stratagem? Oh, so if you target a unit within 6 of him with a stratagem, you can possibly gain CP back. Alright, that's okay. One head looks back. Once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, this model can use the ability. If it does, until the end of the battle. Alright, so he's a Vect. Alright, so he can possibly get you CP back, and he can Vect the opponent make whatever their core stratagem they're going to want to use the most, cost them more CP. Alright. Yeah, this first roll's okay. This roll's really nice. It's good to have that. And then weapon profiles are solid. They're fine. Once again, it all comes down to points, but Fate Weaver looks okay. Then we have the generic Lord of Change. 12 is move, 10 toughness, 18 wounds, 6 up save, leadership 6, OC 5. Oh, and Fate Weaver has a 4 red ball. So then there's a Rod of Sorcery shot, which is Psychic, 12-inch range, 6 attacks, 2 up to hit, strength 8, negative 1, D3 damage. There's the Bolt of Change, which is a Witchfire. 18-inch, strength 9, or 9 attacks, 2 up to hit, strength 9, negative 1, 1 damage. And then if you make it hazardous, looks like all you gain is 1 AP and it becomes D3 instead of 1. And then combat, he has the Baleful Sword, which is extra attacks. So 3 attacks, strength 7, negative 3 damage. And then the Staff of Tzeentch, 5 attacks, strength 6, negative 1, 3 damage. Alright, so basically getting 8 3 damage attacks out of him. That's pretty decent. Then he has a Demon Lord of Tzeentch. While friendly Tzeentch demon units within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack. Alright, so plus 1 to the strength of Tzeentch ranged weapons near him, which should affect his shots as well. Then Master of Magics. In your shooting phase, select one of the following abilities. Ignore hits, lethal hits, sustained hits, D3. Until the end of the phase, this model's Bolt of Change has that ability. Alright, so he can give his Bolt of Change either ignores cover, lethal hits, or sustained hits D3. So if they're in cover, great, yep, because you don't have super high AP, but I think a lot of times that sustained hits D3 with 9 attacks is probably the way to go. And then, once again, not a lot of options. He can just take the Rod of Sorcery or the Baleful Sword. He doesn't drop his Staff of Tzeentch for that. So basically you can take an extra shooting attack or an extra melee attack. Then we got the Changeling. He's a 6-inch move, T3, 7 up save, 5 wounds, leader 7, OC 1. He has Infernal Flames as a Witchfire. So 12 inches, D6, auto hit, strength 6, negative 1, 1 damage. And if you turn it hazardous, you get an extra 3 shots, and it goes to D3 damage. He has a Trickster Staff, which is Psychic. 3 attacks, strength 4, negative 1, D3 damage, but he only hits on 4s. He has a Lone Operative, and he has Stealth, so that's alright. And then he's got Formless Horror. Each time an enemy unit wishes to select this model as the target of an attack, that unit must first take a Battle Shock test. If that test is failed, in addition to being Battle Shocked, the enemy unit cannot target this model this phase. Alright, so one, can't be picked out, and he's -1 to hit, and if you do get over there to him, or even get him where he can be shot, you have to pass the Battle Shock test or you can't. Alright, so this guy's going to be good for like some really good little shenanigans there. Uh, Mischief and Confusion. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 of and visible to this model. Roll 1d6. On a 2 to 5 until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. On a 6, the enemy unit is not eligible to shoot this phase. Oh, that's gross. So you pick one unit in your opponent's army within 12. You roll a 6, they can't shoot. Then they try to shoot you with a different unit. You're like, oh, take a battle shock test. Fail it. When it's each time, it's not one time. So you could potentially, if they keep failing battle shock tests, you could make their whole army not be able to shoot you. I mean, unlikely, but in the occasion where that does, if you stop 2 or 3 units in a row, like, that would be super frustrating. Oh, I guess these other units can choose something else to target, because it doesn't say they lose their shots, but this unit can't shoot at all. Yeah, he's an epic hero, so you can only take one of him. Move 12, T7, 6 up save.